Hello everyone. This is my review of the 1988 Japanese anime film Akira. Yes. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. If you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know if you believe Akira is part of this. Letting me know if you believe Akira is part of the cyberpunk genre. Why or why not? And please share this video with your friends and anywhere you think there will be an audience for it. This is my review of the 1988 film Akira, directed by Katsuhiro Otomo and co-written by Otomo and Izo Hashimoto, based on the manga by Katsuhiro Otomo. One thing I want to mention was that I was maybe easily understood when I made my video about Blade Runner, where I made it sound like Blade Runner's visuals are superior even to those of Japanese anime films and TV shows. But some Japanese anime, listen to me carefully, some Japanese anime like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, and Armitage III also have incredible cyberpunk visuals on par with that of those of Blade Runner. The vast metropolis of Neo Tokyo is a spectacular cyberpunk city with holograms, advertisements, and emerald green parks gilding the tops of elaborate emerald green parks gilding the tops of skyscrapers and skywalks going from one building to another. Akira, which came out in 1988, takes place after a devastating world war, just like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the novel by Philip K. Dick. But unlike that story, Akira takes place during a time of widespread economic unrest, protests, and riots in Japan. The action in Akira is incredible. Epic telekinetic powers, bike chases. It's better than CGI in some sense. The action sequences, yes, and hand drawn, yes. Bike chases, dynamic gunfights, better than the special effects of live action. A lot of live action, especially modern, with their over reliance on CGI. Yes, epic telekinetic powers, bike chases, dynamic gunfights, and grotesque mutant growths horrify us and delight our senses. Details are hand drawn down to even crumbling concrete dust, like light streaks on vehicles, and flying motorcycles displace water realistically. The story of Akira involves bike gang members led by Kaneda who get caught up in a conspiracy larger than themselves when one of their own, a boy named Tetsuo, runs into a mutant called Takashi and crashes into him. The government then captures Tetsuo and experiments on him. But Tetsuo starts to develop telekinetic abilities, and they may prove too much even for the government to handle. To balance the Frankenstein's monster of Tetsuo, you have his friend, the small and soft voiced Kaori. Parts of Akira, the title character in the story, are stored in giant test tubes. But he is also a ghost of a boy. Akira is a ghost of a boy who has epic telekinetic powers. Parts of Akira are stored in giant test tubes, but he is also a ghost of a boy who has epic telekinetic powers. Also, an unseen force which broods over most of the film. The army in the movie hopes that by studying Tetsuo, they may understand Akira better and help control him. Because it seems that in the accident that Tetsuo had with the mutant, something happened where there was a transfer of powers, yes, or something like that, yes, or a revelation of powers, yes. Akira is kept at a secret underground facility. Kaneda ends up being caught up with a pretty girl named Kei, who is part of the resistance against Neo Tokyo's government and its army. Kei, together with Kaneda and some of the leaders of the underground movement, plan to break Tetsuo out of the government's custody. Tetsuo develops telekinetic powers thanks to his run-in with a mutant earlier in the movie. He is able to fly and make people's heads explode, and he can stop shells fired at him and other epic powers. The other mutants who work for the government all look like aged children. They try to stop Tetsuo, but his powers grow even stronger than theirs. These powerful beings in child's bodies with old people's faces, wrinkly faces, are extremely interesting and add a richness to the film. They, however, have no rights of their own and are forced to live in special government enclosures, made to look like nurseries. The government thought that they could control Tetsuo and use him to find out more about Akira. But Tetsuo's powers grow even beyond the army's ability to control them. Therefore, the other mutants in the army must stop him before his powers destroy the city. The government detained Tetsuo and conducted all types of experiments on him, injected him with all kinds of stuff. Perhaps in experimenting on him even accelerated the development of his powers, although later we found out that some of the medicine he received actually worked to suppress his powers. Kaneda, Kei, and Tetsuo are the most human characters in the story. Kaneda is at turns scared, brave, anxious, and also horrified. Kei, in contrast to him, is brave and cool-headed. It's a good couple dynamic for a couple. Yes, Tetsuo starts off as naive and innocent, but then becomes arrogant and power-hungry. In the midst of Tetsuo's rise and trail of mass destruction, the army takes over the government and even orders news helicopters to land, violating freedom of the press. Kaneda overcomes some of his cowardice to come out and face Tetsuo in the latter's superpowered form. I think one of the failed opportunities of the film is the fact that Otomo didn't make Kaneda's fears more pronounced. If he had, Kaneda overcoming his fears to face Tetsuo could have been more powerful. To give you an idea of how epic the final battle is, it involves massive damage to the city. Some of it even takes place in outer space. Tetsuo even uses telekinesis to construct a cybernetic arm for himself. Toward the end of the story, Tetsuo has a moment of repentance, which is moving, but by that point his powers grow beyond even his control. Kaori, Tetsuo's best human friend, humanizes Tetsuo, and Tetsuo even cares for her. But towards the end, even Tetsuo is powerless to save Kaori from himself. Some do not consider Akira to be cyberpunk. It has some cyberpunk elements, the neon megalopolis and Tetsuo's cybernetic arm. For the folks who don't consider Akira cyberpunk, Akira could probably be best described as an anime action dystopia work with some elements of horror and even some elements of the superhero genre. But for me, it is definitely cyberpunk. As I said, Neo Tokyo, the city itself, is a character in the story, and it screams cyberpunk. Also, Tetsuo's cybernetic arm and the unrest in the capitalist state also is very cyberpunk, yes. Akira's story is great, but the ending kind of falls flat. The nuclear-like power at the end of the movie is not exactly nuclear, but telekinetic, but it resembles a nuclear power. It is telekinetic because it preserves some organic life while destroying buildings. This power of distinguishing between targets is part of the abilities of Akira and the mutant children. But having Kaneda survive and not die to save Tetsuo feels somewhat anticlimactic. The movie suggests that the telekinetic singularity at the end could be the beginning of a new universe. But the movie does not reach the sublime height. The film does not reach the sublime heights of the transcendental endings of Kubrick and Clarke's and Arthur C. Clarke's 2001: A Space Odyssey, or Spielberg and Kubrick's and Brian W. Aldiss' AI Artificial Intelligence, both masterworks of science fiction and visual and narrative masterpieces in their own right. Yes. Akira, the film, however, doesn't feel as satisfying as those endings. Too many people survive at the end in Akira. And after the transcendent moments, everything just returns to normal, except the city is destroyed. But it feels normal. We don't feel the loss of what the characters lost when the city was lost. The characters in Akira are simple but effective. And Kaneda, Kei, and Tetsuo and Kaori are the most interesting characters in the story, as well as the mysterious Akira, who some viewers said is symbolic for powers which can grow beyond humanity's control, like nuclear power. The visuals in Akira are spectacular, and even more so when one realizes that most of the effects in Akira are hand-drawn, but they're more spectacular even than effects in a lot of live-action films, especially CGI films of now. Yes, why, oh why, can't there be more filmmakers, producers, please, movie studios, please make more films like Akira, hand-drawn with amazing effects more than some live-action films. Make films like anime, like Akira. Make films like Blade Runner where you have handmade effects that last and there's a cult following behind the film and it builds an audience over time. Even if it may not be immediately box office hit, it becomes successful over time via the video releases and the DVD and the Blu Ray and the streaming. Yes. Hand-drawn animation is a great way to make stuff look epic on a low budget as opposed to actually hand building things. Unfortunately, in too many cartoons and anime, now you have an excessive use of CGI used as a time saving and cost cutting measure. Overall, I give Akira three and a half out of 4 very enthusiastic stars. It's a movie which has flashes of genius, lots of flashes of genius, but for me falls short of being a complete masterpiece. At best, it's probably a flawed masterpiece. The story is a bit simple and it doesn't go deep, which is not necessarily bad. A lot of great movies aren't that profound, like Ultraviolet, which is a masterpiece by Kurt Wimmer, another science fiction movie that I love. It doesn't go too deep though, but it's great, yeah. The craftsmanship, like Akira, the craftsmanship and extraordinary detail of the animation is the star of the show, and it alone is worth the price of admission. And it makes the movie worthy of several rewatches, which is more than can be said of most movies. It's something one often doesn't see in Western hand-drawn animation. And also the violence is something that works well in this film, and it gives it an oomph or a crunchiness, or tangible or substantial nature too many action movies, animated or otherwise, don't have, and which more need, as I said before. But it is definitely a movie which I would recommend to fans of sci-fi or anime as a must-watch for any fan of sci-fi or anime. Even if you don't like anime but love sci-fi, you have to watch Akira. If you love this video, please subscribe to be alerted of future videos reviewing sci-fi movies and books and presenting my own stories. And please like the video and please comment letting me know, do you believe Akira is cyberpunk? Why or why not? And please share this video with your friends and anywhere else you think there will be an audience for it. Up next, I hope to review either the original Ghost in the Shell film or Final Fantasy The Spirits Within or the director's cut of part 1 of Rebel Moon or something else similar, yes. If you like science fiction or Blade Runner, please consider buying my science fiction novels, Phantom Zero and The Swordsman and the Philosopher, now available on Amazon in physical versions, and Capitan Quito and the Barber's Daughter, which are both available on Amazon exclusively as digital editions. Phantom Zero is about an unloved incel who travels the universe looking for a woman who will love him, but fails and pilots a giant monster in exchange for access to beautiful women, but his conscience begins to bother him. Yes, that's Phantom Zero. Please purchase it. It's available on Amazon now. Yes. It's a thick book, but hopefully it'll be a fast read. And it has epic telekinetic powers. One of the characters has epic telekinetic powers, like in Akira. I was inspired by Akira in part. Yes. Phantom Zero is about an unloved incel who travels the universe looking for a woman who will love him but fails, and pilots a giant monster in exchange for access to beautiful women, but his conscience begins to bother him. The Swordsman and the Philosopher is a buddy story about an unlikely duo, an extremely handsome soldier called Sol Thales, who has had disfiguring plastic surgery on himself, and a chubby incel called Wallace Mack, who has a theory that if you put an ugly guy next to a sufficiently uglier guy, you can even make Quasimodo look like Cary Grant. Wallace Mack takes advantage of Sol Thales' disfigurement to try to get a woman for himself by contrasting himself with Sol Thales. Yet Thales, unaware of his disfigurement, is still as arrogant as ever. But meanwhile, an assassin from the future hunts down Thales, and both Thales and Wallace have to fight to save the world. Capitan Quito is a superhero short story about the world's first cyborg who happens to be a dwarf. The Barber's Daughter is a love story about a barber whose incel customer falls in love with his daughter, but the barber is hesitant to let the incel date his daughter because he considers his customer, hola mami, his customer too ugly to date his daughter. But the story may pull at your heartstrings and at the barbers towards the end. So once again, please get Phantom Zero, now available on Amazon. Please do me a favor because the book is not doing too well in sales, and I would love it. If you love Akira, you'd probably love Phantom Zero. It's a mecha kaiju memoir, and it has some massive epic telekinetic powers. One of the characters has telekinetic powers. You may like that. And please buy Swordsman and the Philosopher, about an odd couple that may end up loving each other in the end and becoming friends and best buddies in the end. It's a buddy story in the vein of Twins and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You may love it. Yes, all available on Amazon. And Capitan Quito and the Barber's Daughter, all available on Amazon. Please purchase, and thank you.